Almost. Major. Holy fucking shit, this is major!
Welcome to Almost Major, a podcast where we talk about the many major studios and the films they release. We are still on Artisan, and today we are talking about The Punisher from 2004. My name is Kevin Tudor. I'm here with Bryden Doyle.
Hello.
And Charlie Nash.
Hello.
And once again, we are joined by a special guest of Logan Kenny. How are you, sir?
I'm terrible. I have to fucking talk about The Punisher.
We appreciate your sacrifice you have made to be here.
It's 5 a.m. and I'm talking about The Punisher.
I mean, are you saying there's something better you would want to do than talk about Thomas Jane? I mean,
I do love talking about Thomas Jane. I do love him. He's in Money Plane.
he is.
I would love it. I would love it if like those PSAs. It's like it's 5 a.m. Do you know where your children are? And the answer is like talking about the Punisher.
I'm 20 years old and I'm doing this with my time.
Well, that reminds me of the Simpsons bit. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? I told you last week. No! The Punisher from 2004, released April 16th, 2004. Wide release, opened in 2,649 theaters at number 2. It's been a long time since we got a movie that was actually in the top 5, so that's nice.
Artisan great at movie distribution.
I mean, yeah. Budget $33 million. Opening weekend made $13.8 million. Domestic gross of $33.6 million, and overall gross of $54 million.
Sounds great.
Yeah. I mean it. And I also saw another trivia fact that it sold like $10 million on DVD the first week. So I mean,
What?
It was supposed to. They like. I remember reading in trivia like most action movies around the time were budgeted at 65, and they got half that. So they had to cut a bunch of it. Like there was supposed to be stuff.
Yeah,
from
the director
Gulf War.
was. Yeah, well, that's in the extended cut. Now, if you would, yeah.
Did we not watch the fucking extended cut? Is that not the one we watched?
I had the opportunity to do so, and I chose not to.
You made the right call, I think, because this movie was long enough.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ.
There's a trivia fact that talks about the budgetary problems. But top 5 films this weekend was Kill Bill Volume 2, this movie, Johnson Family Vacation, Hellboy, and Home on the Range.
They released this on the same day as Kill Bill Volume 2.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy to think, like, I mean, I have my own issues with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but can you imagine if a Marvel movie was released against a Quentin Tarantino movie today, and the Quentin Tarantino movie actually did better?
I mean, that's the world I want to live in.
That is a world I'd much prefer to live in.
If you'd released a new Tarantino movie opposite Eternals, it would have been Eternals. Because no one fucking liked Eternals.
That's true.
But Eternals still made a ton of money.
But the thing about Eternals and Black Widow and Shang-Chi is that they were all disappointments. The only one that was a success for them was No Way Home. Because like they all underperformed, you know? Like they performed well. They made their money back and then some. Obviously they're profitable, but they underperformed based off standards for the company. So Multiverse of Madness doing really well, sadly, is probably a sign that we're in for more of this shit. For a while longer. Because, like, I was honestly getting to the point where I thought they would start pivoting completely to TV and not only saving the movies for, like, these big events, like the No Way Homes and the Avengers.
No, the TVs are advertisements for the movies.
Yeah. But, like, I was thinking that they're just, with Disney Plus, they're just going to keep doing the TV stuff. And they are going to, but I still think at some point it will completely pivot over into being the norm for them, is the TV will take priority over the movies. But I think it might be a while longer because of Multiverse of Madness.
That'd be nice.
I mean, to be honest, this whole movie felt like I watched an entire season of television in one.
It feels like the network equivalent of like the Equalizer. Like
especially like the stuff with like the people in the apartment. It's like these are like the interesting side characters so really come to love. It's like will I? It's like
it's just like Breaking Bad if you think about it, with John Travolta as Gus Fring. If you really think
this is true. Hold on, before we get into talk about this masterpiece, I got a few more stuff to run down. Number one song in the U.S. this week is "Yeah" by Usher.
Oh fuck yeah!
Remember when I said the top one songs on this episode are gonna be better? Yeah, it was number one for 12 weeks, only
I
to
was
be
about to say.
That seems
Yeah.
like
Only-
it should be even longer than 12 weeks, right?
Okay, but only to be dethroned by another Usher song, which was "Burn," which reigned for 7 more weeks.
2004 was the year of Usher.
Yeah,
And
his
the
Confessions
Punisher,
album.
apparently.
I mean, yeah, I was definitely bumping Confessions Part 2,
Oh,
and then I drove
classic
up to the
song.
parking lot, watched Punisher, yeah.
Okay,
number one song in Canada, though, is Toxic by Britney Spears.
That's another good song.
I mean, yeah.
Written and directed by Jonathan Hensley. Directorial debut. Prior to this, he wrote Die Hard with a Vengeance and Jumanji in 1995, and Armageddon in 1998. After this, wrote and directed The Ice Road in 2021, and wrote Next in 2007.
He wrote
The
Next?
Ice Road, that...
Yeah.
Fuck
Next,
you,
which is based
John.
which I think is also based on like a Philip K. Dick story, right? That's like, isn't
I think so, yeah.
Next is one of the dumbest endings I've ever seen in a film.
it's fucking boring. That
It's
movie's,
so
like,
boring.
no fun.
It should be at least funny.
The Ice Road, though, that movie doesn't exist. No one on Earth has seen that movie.
Yeah, no one.
Excuse me, sir. I recommended that. I talked about that movie on Almost Major.
Brian,
and I
stop
think-
lying. It's just Cold Pursuit again. Stop lying.
It's very different than that. But
Oh,
you know,
okay. It's just like The Marksman.
which I also watched. Watched it on New Year's Eve with my parents.
I was joking, Brian.
I'm keeping tabs on this kid, Robert Lorenz, seeing what his follow-up to Trouble with the Curve was.
Alright, okay, well,
Oh
Trouble
my
with the Curve,
God.
that's a fucking banger. Clint opens that movie, struggling to piss. It's like, come on. Come on. He was in Scouts baseball with his daughter Amy Adams and his future son-in-law Justin Timberlake. It's a solid 3.5 star flick. You'd go see it with your dad and he would mildly enjoy it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
That's
like,
exactly
10
what
years
I
ago.
did.
Also co-written by Michael France, who also wrote Cliffhanger in 1993, Hulk in 2003, and Fantastic Four in 2005.
Wow, there's a hit and some misses in there.
Yeah, I was about to say all better movies until you got to that last one.
Okay, I would say that Fantastic Four is more fun than The Punisher. At least it's
Does Fantastic Four end with the Drowning Pool song, though?
no, it doesn't. I feel like
I love a superhero movie where they don't want to be superheroes and just hide in their apartment all day. It's
I want to see a superhero movie where it's just they just want to make a mob movie, and then
I mean, yeah. Starring Thomas Jane as Frank Castle / the Punisher. Prior to this, he was in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie in 1992, Face Off and Boogie Nights in 1997,
So good, Boogie Nights.
Deep Blue Sea in 1999, and the Batship movie that is Dreamcatcher in 2003. After this, he's in The Tripper in 2006, which is the Ronald Reagan slasher film directed by David Arquette. Who could forget? The Mist in 2007, and starred in a TV show Hung from 2009 to 2011.
he's hung.
He is.
Also, The Mist, underrated movie.
Really,
I like that
really
one.
fucked up. That's a horror
Yeah.
movie. He's also in 2 episodes of Arrested Development.
Oh my god, he is.
yeah.
I just want my
forgot
kids
about
back. Yeah, it's so good.
I remember watching The Mist with my parents, and my mom and
Same.
dad were like, "That is the worst ending I've ever seen in my life."
It's so
And I was
mean.
just like,
It's so
it's
mean.
so-
The tank
it's
had to
so
come
cruel.
over right after. Like you couldn't have
Yeah,
waited
no.
5 minutes.
That's what my dad said. He was like, I liked it up until the end. I was like, I liked it up until the end, and then I loved it.
yeah, no, same.
The ending. I usually don't like pessimism that stark in film endings. You gotta give it to The Mist though, because I've thought about that ending for fucking years. I have to give it that power. Like I hate it, and I wish that it never happened for my own sanity. But it's a fucking dope ending.
Yeah. Also reprised his role as the Punisher in a fan-made short film called Dirty Laundry in 2012, which I remember being pretty cool. John Travolta as Howard Saint. Prior to this, we all saw him dance in Howard Saint. That's his name. Yeah.
No, the actor. I don't know who
Oh.
this is.
Oh yeah. I found some gems. He was in. We all saw him dance in Perfect from 1985.
Staying Alive.
No, I don't think so. Michael in 1996, Lucky Numbers in
Phenomenon
2000,
in 1996.
Swordfish in 2001.
Good
After
movie.
this,
It is not a good movie.
after this, Wild Hogs in 2007, Old Dogs in 2009, Gotti in 2018, and of course,
From Paris with Love.
Oh, yes, but of course, the Fred Durst-directed classic The Fanatic in 2019 hasn't really done any good movies that I can see, but these were the highlights.
I also it's also funny that both he and Thomas Jane are in The Thin Red Line, but like it's just sort of
Yeah.
like I mean
Oh,
Travolta.
yeah.
It's like that movie like it's everyone's roles are so pared down. You're just kind of like Thomas Jane's in this movie. If you say
He's in a speedboat movie, which I forget the name of.
Oh, Speed
But
Kills.
comparing,
Speed
but
Kills,
comparing the
Turning Paint, where he's a race car driver.
Cool.
But comparing the Thin Red Line to Gotti, that's like comparing peanuts to diamonds.
I wasn't.
Look,
Did I compare them? I did not mean to do that.
Look,
No,
all I'm
I'm
saying
seeing
is
being
Gotti
fair.
has a soundtrack by Pitbull and it has the same ending as Spider-Man 2002. So, like, you gotta give it props somehow.
Is there a scene in Gotti where they're just like, hey, we're New Yorkers. You mess with Gotti, you mess with
Yes!
all of us.
That's the joke. That is what happens in the movie. That's literally the ending of Gotti.
Oh, man. Where the fuck was I? Yeah. Yeah,
This
my
is
brain
already
broke.
chaos. Jesus.
So you
Yeah,
talk about Travolta. Who else is in this movie? I mean, that's.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, I was gonna say Thomas Jane is also in Face Off, so they were in two other movies, but I don't think either movie they like cross paths. But Samantha Mathis as Maria Castle. Prior to this, she's in Pump Up the Volume in 1990. This Is My Life in 1992. This Thing Called Love in 1993, and American Psycho in 2000. After this, she's in the 2004 remake miniseries of Salem's Lot. And, of course, in Law & Order Criminal Intent in 2005, and Law & Order SVU in 2003, 2014, and 2020. Laura Herring as Livia Saint. Prior to this, Little Nicky in 2000. Mulholland Drive in 2001. I was not even trying to be funny. She just doesn't have much roles before this. John Q in 2002. After this, 8 episodes on The Shield, 5 episodes arc on Gossip Girl. Hell yeah, I haven't got to that yet. And Law & Order Criminal Intent in 2010.
Her
Also,
career makes me sad.
Yeah.
Same.
also Will Patton, Roy Scheider, Ben Foster, and Rebecca Romaine is also rounding out the list here.
Ben Foster's name is Spacker Dave, by the way. in case you didn't-
Will Patton's gay.
Yeah, we see that for 4 seconds. Yeah. Trivia. I have a lot of trivia, so please strap in. Marvel Studios began development for a new Punisher film as early as 1997. In 2000, Marvel made a long-term agreement with Artisan Entertainment to turn 15 of their characters into films and TV shows. Among the characters were Captain America, Thor, Black Panther, Ant-Man, and Deadpool.
Wow, I wonder how that one went for them.
Not good. Distributed by Lionsgate Films, but Artisan financed and co-distributed the film. Lionsgate bought Artisan halfway through the film's production, and this is the final Artisan film. Hensley said that even though the film was distributed under the Lionsgate imprint, they had nothing to do with the film. Once Artisan was bought by Lionsgate, the rights reverted back to Marvel. Amir Malin, the head of Artisan at the time of the buyout, once he was leaving Artisan, put the idea to Ari Arad, the head of Marvel Entertainment, that they should finance their own Marvel films. Unfortunately, at the time, Arad took the idea to the boards of Marvel and got turned down. I think it eventually got off the ground a few years ago, but I'm not sure. Lionsgate planned a sequel with Hensley and Jane returning. Jane was campaigning for a sequel before the original film even released. The sequel lingered in development hell for over 3 years. Hensley did a draft and left the project in 2006. Director John Dahl was in talks to direct, but left over the script not being good. and
That
the
might have been
studios
good. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He was in talks to direct, but left over the script not being good and the studio's hesitancies to spend a good money on the movie. Funny enough, Hensley had this problem with Artisan while making the original film. In 2007, Thomas Jane left the project over creative differences and budget problems, plus director Walter Hill being turned down to direct by Lionsgate.
Oh, that would have been good too. What the hell?
Yeah.
Especially because like
The problem with all the Punisher things is like I feel like the TV show probably has this problem too, is that it's made like the comics are like homages to like these like 70s exploitation flicks, you know?
Oh,
And
there's
it's
so
like-
much talk behind this movie where they were just like, "Oh man, we were trying to do like Sam Peckinpah.
We wanted to
we
be
were
like
trying
Death
to do."
Wish, bro. Like,
Uh-huh.
and I'm like, why not just get like an actual dude that's made those before and make it really
Yeah.
gritty and fun and violent and
Yeah.
commit to a tone, commit to one tone.
yeah,
I
I
know.
I was just thinking of better.
tone.
I was thinking of better movies while watching this one. Like, and I'll talk
I was
about them.
thinking
later.
about. I was thinking of. I don't think it's like irredeemably bad or anything. It's so derivative to the point that it just has nothing to do with anything.
It's just there.
It's so
I
middle of
thought,
the road. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Where I was
milk
kinda
toast.
Why would I watch this when I can watch any of the 3 John Wick films and get the exact same movie? And
all I
yeah.
wanted to do was put on "Bring Me the Head" of Alfredo Garcia. I just wanted to
Well,
put that
yeah.
on. I wanted
Yeah.
to put on I wanted to put on anything else. I wanted to put on the fucking bullet to the head, the Walter Hill thing with Stallone and Momoa and Sung Kang. I wanted to watch that instead. Like,
I'd also watch the John Woo bullet in the head any day over
I mean,
this. I'd watch
that's
that any.
yeah, that's a really fucked up one. I would watch The Last Stand with Arnie over this any day. A heartbeat.
Oh,
Okay.
easily.
Oh yeah, that one's
I'd
kind
watch
of
Escape
Yeah.
Plan
Yeah.
over this with Arnie and Slime.
Okay.
that one's a little less fun.
Not as good as either of those two, I would say, but it's there.
The sequel reboot eventually came out in 2008 called Punisher Warzone, and it's not that good.
No, it isn't.
Now,
It's
on
fine.
to quicker trivia. Thomas Jane accidentally stabbed Kevin Nash, who plays the Russian in their scene. Nash took
What?
Yes. Nash took cold beers from the film crew as compensation, which not bad. Thomas Jane trained for nearly 7 months with the United States Navy SEALs and gained more than 20 pounds of muscle in doing so. Thomas Jane initially turned down the role twice, as well as a role in X-Men from 2000, as he didn't see himself as a superhero actor. He only became interested in the character after being asked to play him for a second time, and he had seen Timothy Bradstreet's artwork of the character, which he was doing the artwork of Punisher at the time. Jonathan Hensley and Roy Scheider were neighbors in New York City, which is how Scheider was cast as Frank Castle Sr. Pro wrestler Kevin Nash had to cut his hair for this role. To explain the haircut to his wrestling fans, he bet his hair in a match against wrestler Chris Jericho. Hell yeah.
That's a fact for me.
Yeah. Jonathan Hensley was dismayed before filming began when he learned he wasn't going to be given sufficient budget for a top flight action movie. I don't like top flight action movie. He felt he needed in the region of $64 million, but was only given $30 million and only 52 days to shoot the picture. Hensley had to rewrite a lot of the original script to accommodate this reduction in budget and shooting schedule. Close-up of a bodyguard getting hit in the head with a paper cutter was cut due to the MPAA saying it was too real. Also, the scene where Frank throws hot oil onto Kevin Nash was cut down as well. Thomas Jane was the first and only choice to play the Punisher. John Travolta allowed Thomas Jane to have his name first in the credits and advertising so that he could work on this project. In fact, he didn't mind at all, allowing Jane to be put over so that he could get recognition as the main character, my bad. Most of the plot comes from the comics of 2001's Welcome Home Frank and 1994's The Punisher Year One. And that's all the trivia I have.
Quick question: how familiar were any of you with the Punisher comics like beforehand? Because I'd only read like one of the comics when I was a kid. Because I think I read like one of the teen rated ones when I was like a kid, and then I think the rest of them had like the parental advisories on them, so I wasn't allowed to read them. But that's
My dad didn't give a fuck. He wanted me to read comics. He didn't care what they were. So I read a few Punisher comics as a kid, and I was like, these are pretty neat. They're weird though.
Yeah.
They're violent. I preferred X-Men. I preferred Batman. But I thought my problem with Punisher is I was like, okay, well, I enjoyed the violence because I was a child, and children fucking love violence, and you can try and pretend that they don't, but they do. They think it's fucking sick as hell. And like I was like, this is getting a little repetitive. Like, we get it. Your wife's dead and your kid's dead and you're sad about it and you're killing criminals. And there's a point where like the simplistic nature of the character got a little bit repetitive for me, and I found that like other superheroes did more interesting things. There are some like really good and thoughtful Punisher work, but I think that the character is kind of inherently a bit simplistic and a little bit limited in his framework. Which makes it so interesting that the movie fails to get even the basic ideas of the Punisher correctly. It's like the whole thing about the Punisher is the atmospheric setting, and they set it in the wrong state, and there's no atmosphere to it whatsoever. It's ridiculous.
Tampa.
It's like, why did you move it
Florida.
to... It's just like, his whole thing is that he's a fucking gritty New York former cop that's shooting criminals because there's crime around every street, the corner, you know? Like...
And you're forgetting. Sorry, go ahead.
It's just so dumb. Like, there's no reason other than like they didn't want to leave the state. I bet there's probably some tax incentives in Florida around that time. I assume.
I think I read that as something that it was like cheap.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But like, even if you're gonna shoot it in like a location that's maybe like you're not quite matching with the tone of the character, at least get like some of the feel for that place, because like Florida, I feel like
use
it's such a
some like
distinctively
hazy sun,
muggy atmosphere.
like because I've been to Florida a couple times, and like when it rains there, it feels sweltering. The rain is hot. Like
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, like you think about like movies like Body Heat or Wild
Yeah.
Things. Whether or not you like those movies or not, you can at least say that the
yeah,
atmosphere
no, there's
and
like
the
a
vibe of
pungent
the
kind
setting
of
is
there's
there.
like this kind of like steam, this mist kind of flowing through everything. There's a swampy feeling. It feels like everyone's like walking through. Like what in Florida, like the first like when you get off the plane and you walk through Florida, it starts feeling like you're walking through muck because the air is so
Yeah.
suddenly different than it is on the plane. Like you walk out.
Oh, and I've been to Florida.
Yeah,
it's true.
it
Yeah.
feels different, and it takes you a little while to acclimatize. And instead, it just feels like a sunny place. You know, it feels like TV in a way. Like it feels like, this is gonna sound this is gonna sound like a compliment, honestly, but I don't mean it as such.
Here it is.
It's like in the season 2 finale of Succession, they go on like a cruise ship in like the Mediterranean, and like it's TV show, so it's like not shot to emphasize the overwhelming nature of the sun or the idyllic nature of the paradise. It's shot like a TV show, so it's shot with just basic coverage. And it just looks like that. It just looks like a basic coverage on on a TV show. Only it's not well written, and it's not got anything really to offer with the character dynamics. And like, there's no like it doesn't use the setting for anything when the setting is such a big part of the Punisher, and it doesn't replace it with a new setting or a new thesis or a new idea. There's no cool set pieces with this setting. Like it doesn't.
We haven't even gotten in the first.
Sorry,
impressions
I'm
yet.
sorry.
You're
I'm
already
grumpy.
like,
It makes me really
Oh,
mad.
it's okay.
Nothing to say about this movie, though.
I will
Yeah.
say the one mildly interesting thing that they do with the Florida setting is like having been to Florida, where like you have to like wait for the bridges, like when they're being like lifted. And,
Yeah,
like,
it's
falling.
dope. Yeah, it's
That's
dope.
kind of interesting how they use that, but it's like
I think
5 seconds of like one action scene that lasts like 90 seconds.
I do like the bit where his entire family gets fucking murked. I think that's a good scene. I think it's the best scene in the movie.
It
Because
is.
it does actually feel
it's
like
pretty
they're
good.
in a place and it's sunny and it's like a contrasting thing. Like it's this like beautiful Florida paradise.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
coverage of it makes it just look like a normal sunny like lovely place. And then everyone gets fucking murdered.
Well, that's when they're in Puerto Rico. That's when they're
Yeah.
in Puerto Rico.
Oh,
right?
is
Not
that
Florida?
in
Yeah,
Puerto
yeah,
Rico?
Yeah, they're in Puerto Rico.
Oh, I thought it was
Yeah.
Florida. So clearly they did a great job establishing
No.
the set.
You're supposed to be dead.
Get up. Wheel the money out. Out the window.
You know whose money this is? You know whose building this is?
Howard Saints. You're not gonna believe this.
We're really sorry about your family.
What do you think he does?
Maybe he's an artist.
Get everyone in. We're going hunting. This is not vengeance. No, not vengeance. It's punishment.
Call the Russian.
Took everything from me.
Make Castle dead!
Those who do evil to others will come to know me well.
No one's ever stood up for me before.
Call me the Punisher. Shouldn't play with knives.
Initial thoughts I will go through. Bryden was saying that if we had any history with it, and yes, I did. Like 10 or so years ago, I got really deep into comics and bought so many Punisher comics because he's been my favorite since this movie came out. Not really much anymore, and also the alt-right overtaking the Punisher kind of definitely puts a taste in my mouth anyways, but loved it back in the day, but I was also like 13, so what did I know? It's not that good. Thomas Jane is very committed, and I'm always interested when he's on screen playing this role, even though he has to do some chunky shit with some of the dialogue and whatnot, but he embodies it really, really good, the character of the Punisher. more so than whoever the fuck they got for Warzone. But
Ray Stevenson, star of Kill the Irishman.
oh, of course, it all
Who
comes
is
back to Kill the Irishman.
who is a film directed by.
Jonathan Hensley. Household
There we
name.
go. There we go. See, we're tying them two together.
I don't know. There are some nifty parts, like pretty much, like everything about the end I really dig, where he infiltrates with the bow and arrow and all that, and makes the guy holds the C4 or whatever it is. That's really fucking awesome. And I think when he gets into breaks into the bank or whatever it is, and he's shooting all the motherfuckers, that's cool. And the Russian scene is pretty cool, but other than that, it's just like anytime he's not on screen, when it does anything with Howard Zinn, is really fucking slog.
It's awful.
Yeah, it's really bad. But I don't know. I'll get more into it. But Charlie, what do you think of The Punisher?
Oh yeah, this movie sucks.
Okay.
I mean, my only background with the character and it's not even with the character, was I owned the fucking soundtrack of this thing when I was 13.
So did I, goddammit, The Punisher, the album.
And yeah, I had, because I was, I saw superhero movies back then because I was 13, and like Logan said, people love, kids love violence, and I was just like...
I do love violence.
And I loved violence when I was that age, and just thought, oh my god, movies, violence, explosions, hooray, and I never even... I don't even think I saw it until I was in like high school, and I remember not liking it then and liking it even less now. It's just there. It's just so like, and there is a certain type of thing, like I revisited, I mean, it's a much different type of movie and a much better type of movie, but I blindly bought the 4K of Blade, like, in lockdown, and was like...
Cool movie. Blade's good.
Blade rules. Like, there were R-rated Marvel movies before they blew up and became as awful as they are now.
There are still R-rated Marvel movies. Deadpool 2.
Oh, those are the worst. Okay, yeah, but, like, I guess, like, before the whole Iron Man Avengers blow up thing, that I was just kind of like, if they stood on their own, they were fine. And this one is just I hate to use this word, it's flaccid. It's just totally limp and bare and just going by the numbers, and yeah, it was really tough getting through this one. I was texting Kevin and Bryden, I know you had the same situation because we were talking about it the other night, where I just kept pausing it and being like, how the fuck do I have 50 minutes of this thing left? Like, I don't, like... And then in terms of just, like, I love violent movies. I love movies that have stylistic flourishes of violence. Violence can be very exciting. I hate violence in real life, but in the movies...
You absolutely abhor death, Charlie.
Yeah. But, like, this thing, it's just, the way it's shot and edited is so flat. Some of the editing, like, there are cool moments where the editing just completely takes away from it. There's a moment where, like, a pocket knife is just shot into a guy's neck, and it should be awesome. And it's just, like...
I'm going to disagree and say it's still pretty fucking awesome. He gets it the worst.
And I think John Travolta can be a really fun villain. I mean, Face Off, Broken Arrow. I mean, the guy can have fun. But
John Woo can have fun. I think you mean
The Fanatic.
Yeah, that is true. John Woo knows how to direct him. Yeah, like, he's just so boring here. Poor Rebecca Romijn and Laura Elena Herring and all the women have nothing to do here. Like, I just got the new Shout Factory. Speaking of Rebecca Romijn, I got the new Shout Factory Blu-ray of Femme Fatale just sitting on my shelf now, and I was just like watching this, being like, God, I wish I could just be watching that instead. Like,
you could have just lied and just pretended you watched it and watched Femme Fatale instead.
Yeah, that's true.
I could have. That is very true. But I spent my day off. I was like, let's get this shit out of the way, and then we can watch Belly, which luckily is coming out first for all of you. But yeah, then I was just like, yeah, this because I knew this movie was gonna make me like just in a fucking slump, and like just chased it with a much better movie afterwards. So yeah, wasn't good when I saw it back in 2008, whenever. Even worse now, just bad.
Bryden?
Yeah, so I'd never seen this before. I think I'd maybe seen, like, I think I remember my mom or my brother watching it on TV when I was a kid. Because I remember, like, the scene where they look at the money at the cabinet, and then, like, he's standing on the bridge to the end. And I was like, what was this, The Punisher? And it's over. And I got So I think I rated this the highest out of everyone here who watched it, even though I didn't really like it that much. I think it's because like there's like interesting pieces here, but like it's the weird like kind of thing is like it's the bad middle ground between like where like goofy and like somber and everything, where like this movie kind of like Whiplash goes between like just these over the top heightened scenes of violence where people are like getting like blown up like and like just these like comically large explosions, or like people like getting shotgun blasted and flying through like multiple plates of glass and showing it from like multiple angles and everything, just like flying like high distances and everything. And but then like we'll have like these scenes of like brutal misogynistic murders or whatever, and like Thomas Jane like brooding in his apartment and like getting soused and whatnot, and a domestic abuse subplot. And it's like it's just like kind of that weird and the movie can't pick a tone, and it kind of just like sits in the middle of like being just kind of unpleasant and a slog. And it just made me think of like other better revenge movies that I've seen, like a comic book-esque sort of movie that I watched recently that I think does this kind of thing much better and gets like the tone much better is Sam Raimi's Darkman, which I'd never seen before.
Yeah.
That movie is... and what's so great about that movie is like that's another movie where like if the tone isn't just so, it's just like fucking miserable or whatever, but like it's everything from like the comedy to the action to like the drama and tragedy of like the romance is like turned up to like such a heightened degree and everything, where it's like Liam Neeson and Frances McDormand embracing against like a projection screen and whatever, and like their shadows are like cast or whatever, and it's like so stylized like even before like the crazy action stuff happens and everything, and it totally works. But then like also it has like goofy silent movie-esque gags and everything where he's like racing along like the top of like a truck or whatever while he's hanging from a helicopter. It's awesome.
Are you telling me that Sam Raimi is a better filmmaker than Jonathan Hensley?
Shocking, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, Hensley, it's funny. I like a couple of the movies that he's written, like Die Hard with a Vengeance is a lot of fun. Not so much dialogue-wise. I mean, that movie has some like weird reverse racism politics in it that are very strange. But like and like it's like has a bad ending, but like structurally, like I like the premise of that movie. It's like having to race around the city, solve all these problems or whatever, and it helps that like maybe the weakness of the script is propped up by John McTiernan's very sleek direction. Hensley does not really have that light touch when it comes to directing. It's like you said, Charlie, the edit is kind of like really sluggish with like some of the violence. Like there's like a scene near the end where Thomas Jane like blows a guy's foot off with a shotgun, stabs him in the hand, and then stabs him through a chin, and it feels like it should be like it's meant to be like this super swift but brutal move.
It's
sloggy.
So slow.
It's really. It feels like it lasts like a few beats too long. It's like it doesn't really have the right.
The only
impact.
time that the movie actually incorporates
the
the sluggish air of Florida, and it's in the worst possible time.
I'm just really sweating.
I think the ideal Punisher movie is James Wan's Death Sentence, which I think is really good.
I need to see that.
That movie's really, because that movie is upsetting in its violence, and it commits to it. It's like, this is terrible, and he's doing this because he sees no other alternative, and it breaks him slowly as it does it, and it's really harrowing. And the violence, you understand it, but you hate it, and it's very compelling, and it's the scariest movie James Wan ever made by a mile, which is crazy because it's one of the few non-horrors that he did.
I also think with like the pacing wise, like it's so weird about the movie is like it races through like the expositional stuff at the start where like it's him becoming the Punisher relatively economically and everything. Like it's like maybe 30 minutes and everything. It's like, okay, this is like getting off to like a pretty good start, but then like there's just this sluggish midsection where like first off he comes back to Florida and like he like tells like his former law enforcement buddies that he's back in town just before he's about to commit a fuck ton of murder. So like,
I'm here. Hold on. I got the quote. Here we go.
Thank you. Yes.
He goes, the random guy is just like, you look upset, and Frank Castle goes, upset? Is that the word? I used to get upset when I got a flat tire, when a plane was delayed. I used to get upset when the Yankees won the series. So if that what upset means, what am I feeling now? If you know the word, tell me, because I don't.
But yes, it's a great monologue, but also
he acts like he's the only person who's ever experienced this in his life.
I mean,
like,
it was a pretty fucked up thing to experience. His family got butchered.
It was, but it's like as if he's the first person to ever.
I mean,
experience this, which I don't know, dude.
Charlie, how many people do have their entire family assassinated by renegade assassins?
That's the thing. Yeah,
I know 3 people yesterday. Come on.
Yeah,
man.
Roger Ebert's review points out how even the whole family was like, they even killed the cousins.
No,
Holy shit,
he
this
killed
is
everyone. He killed his
know.
great auntie Jemima. He killed her. She's dead now.
It's
and
true.
his mom. I just think it's funny though that as if he acts as if he reached some sort of vengeful nirvana, as if nothing has ever.
I like how the
anybody
movie.
this
I do
ever.
enjoy how the movie is I've just killed all these people. I think that was cool. I'm gonna do that again.
But the cops never suspect them.
It is accurate.
Because
Because why would they suspect a former cop of doing murder? They love each other.
That's actually a good point.
But yeah, the pacing too, it's just it settles down for this long midsection where he's shares the apartment with Rebecca Romaine and Ben Foster and John Panette, and it's just this is shoe leather. Just cut this out. It doesn't really have any. It shouldn't really have any real bearing on it.
Needs to be leaner, yeah.
Yeah, and especially when the movie's running 2+ hours and everything, and also it's kind of the bullshit of this guy's apparently lost his former humanity and everything, but then he also still cares for human beings and everything. It's just okay, it sentimentalizes it a little too much, and I also don't. I actually kind of like Travolta. I think the problem is that he's in a different movie than Thomas Jane, where Thomas Jane is being super serious and Travolta's kind of camping it up, and especially some of the dialogue he has with Will
it doesn't
Patton,
it doesn't fit at all. His performance is really
it's the wrong movie, not necessarily the performance that's the problem. It's the rest of the movie.
I feel like John Travolta's trying to camp it up, but the script keeps holding him back.
I feel like he's doing what the director's telling him not to do, and I think it's a disconnect.
Yeah.
But one of the few scenes I like in the movie is I hate the context of the Will Patton storyline because it is kind of homophobic how it's used in the film. But but the scene that he has with Travolta at the end where it's weird because the script is so shallow and everything, but they are really investing it with genuine emotion and everything, especially Will Patton, even when he's saying, "You're killing me, you're killing me." It's that's very goofy, but it's the sincere hurt in his expression and his voice is and I'm talking about Patton, but also Travolta and everything, where it's these evil men having some sort of sick, twisted bond. It is in the sense that they're doing fucked up things to each other, but also care for each other as colleagues. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's that. It's oh man, you're giving this. I respect that you're giving this more weight than it definitely deserves, but. Yeah, I don't know. So there's interesting pieces in this movie, but overall, I think it just doesn't really work. And I'm gonna stop now because I want to get into the plot and also talk about other things with everyone here.
I think this reminds me of Constantine, the movie. For me,
much better movie.
No, I think they're on par. I think they're both really boring.
Oh my goodness!
Constantine's way more.
I saw Constantine in cinemas and Keanu Con, and it was a fucking slog.
Tilda Swinton has giant wings in that movie. That's
Tilda Swinton is not in as much of that movie as you remember. That movie, I think that movie's boring as shit. But the thing,
are we talking down on the great director Francis Lawrence right now? Really?
Yes, we are.
He gave us Water for Elephants.
He's made a bunch of. Oh, we do love having Water for Elephants. Where would we be without it?
He gave us Red Sparrow.
We love it when mockingjays are hungry.
That's true. Too. That's true. Yeah.
That one really sucks. Oh, bad.
Good.
But the thing about Constantine and the Punisher that they have in similar is I think they're both tonally confused, and I think they both have really great lead performances. I think Keanu's great as Constantine. I think Jane's great as Frank Castle. I think they both make sense for the character, and I wish they'd stuck around with the character because I feel like in both cases, if they'd had a sequel, they could have figured it out. I feel like the potential was there for them to figure it out with the right creative staff, the right direction, a little more confidence. Because the performances are in the right lane. I just think the films and the scripts aren't. And I think the direction is too stoic and stodgy in both of them. I think the Punisher's biggest problem, apart from the fact that it has no atmosphere,
none.
It strips the grimy New York setting away for this kind of odorless, senseless Florida backdrop that has no texture, no specificity. There's no cool set pieces that make advantage of the Florida landscape. There's no the thing about what I like about like action movies about one guy is like the accumulation of like dirt and blood and sweat and tears. It's why my favorite John Wick is John Wick 3,
Mm.
Parabellum, is because there's an entire segment where he just gets like fucking destroyed, thrown through glass. He's bleeding everywhere. He's like beat up. He's slower. He's sluggish, and there's a desperation in him that even though he's the most skilled assassin on the planet, he now has to struggle and fight through it. And there's something so satisfying about that compared to like seeing him easily murk people. In my
Or
opinion,
even the second one with them taking place at the shootout, the climactic shootout in the Hall of Mirrors that's called Reflections of the Soul. Like it's not
Hell yes.
it's not
It's a great set piece.
it's not subtle at all, but it thematically ties into everything the movie's doing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. Each one's better than the last one. 4 is going to be so good if that's the case. But the thing about like I love that in action. I love in one of my favorite action set pieces in recent years is An Angel Has Fallen, the Jared Butler Rick Roman Wog movie, where it's him versus Danny Houston, and you believe that Danny Houston can beat the shit out of him because Jared Butler has suffered so profoundly throughout the rest of the movie that he's just so slow and tired and beat up that the final fight becomes a battle of equals instead of obviously Jared Butler's going to beat the shit out of this old man. Um, and I think that like there's nothing like that. Like it's almost like it's just too easy for Castle at some point. You never really buy into the struggle, and Jane's trying to sell it as struggling, and he's trying to sell pain,
Yeah.
and he does it well, but the film never does. The direction never benefits from it. There's never any weight to the action, in my opinion. Like it is violent and cool in theory, but it has no weight. It has no impact. It's not really sickening or shocking. It neither leans into like the camp pulp that Warzone would do, in my opinion, to no success. And but neither like the sickening violence of something like Death Sentence, what I mentioned earlier. It has no after like because like the murders of his family are like it's so overly sensationalized that it's quite kind of darkly funny. You know, it's a great. It's my favorite scene in the movie by a mile, but it's like it's silly. It's a silly execution sequence of multiple people. You know, and then it becomes so stoic, and it's like if it wanted to be, it needed to be either like this is despair that is being caused by all these people dying, or have the film be lighter throughout, and it has no idea of what it wants to be. It seems like because like you mentioned in the trivia that it's like torn between like two major inspirations of the comics, like two different pieces. It feels that way. It feels like it's split between a creative vision and a creative tone, and it does feel really long, and I think Travolta is very bad in it. Because
Oh yeah.
like even if you like appreciate him individually, he doesn't coalesce with the film's aims, and he detracts from the film. And I think he's like entertaining on like an abstract level. A couple scenes, I think the stuff with his wife is embarrassing. I think it's some of the worst stuff in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, oh, she's
Yeah.
the evil like Jezebel. You know, that's what she's framed as throughout the film, and it's like
Mhm.
it's so two dimensional, and in my opinion, so even like one dimensional, honestly. And like the stuff like handling like, oh, she's evil, and I've got to kill her now, and I think it's just really tactless and tacky and very kind of, if not outright misogynistic, at least borderline. Like it's very.
Oh yeah.
I found it disturbing, but not in an effective or visceral way. There was nothing I was being challenged on. It just felt like something quite retrograde and meaningless, almost.
And I think if the movie had a better handle on the tone, maybe that scene, like if it went with like the grimmer tone,
It would be horrifying.
Yeah, it would maybe have like the right horrifying impact. But here, it just feels kind of discombobulating tonally.
It's like a good scene on paper. It makes sense.
Mhm.
It just you need to like change it. You know, it needs to be fixed. It's a good first draft, but you can't have that done like that in the movie with the tone. And I love like it is too adherent to his influences. It does want to be Walter Hill. It does want to be Sam Peckinpah. It really fucking wants to be Death Wish. Like and I think it has some of the similar problems that the first Death Wish has, because I also think the first Death Wish suffers with its tone. Before it
Mhm.
embraces the kind of just chaos, fuck it, we ball, kill everyone in sight mentality of the sequels. I think the first Death Wish is pretty stoic, and uncomfortable and doesn't really achieve the aims that the sequels do.
Mm-hmm.
And inspiring. So in that sense, it's completely successful in what it's aspiring to be, because it has all the same problems that I have with the first Death Wish. And the thing about it is that I think all the supporting characters are pretty badly handled. I think Ben Foster is good, but he's a good actor. He's a great actor.
Yeah,
but
they dance to opera.
Him being in this movie feels wrong in a way. I don't know how to really explain it. It just doesn't feel like he should be there. It unsettles me that he is in so much of it.
Well, he's not allowed to go full on ape shit.
No.
They tried to make me talk. I said nothing.
Yeah, he's doing the silent ape shit, the restrained, like, unhinged, which still doesn't work.
You first meet him, he's in a gaming chair. But you see him, a close-up of him, and he's like, "You're a failure. You are a disappointment." And then he's like, he's playing a game that 1000% you could never play on a gaming chair on a PC, but whatever. Yeah, I feel like the Rebecca Romaine and Ben Foster and all of them in the adjacent apartment, it feels like it's it's almost like a sitcom-y thing. It's just like, we have to live with a fucking an assassin next door.
He's gonna murder people.
Also,
what the fuck?
Two things about the Rebecca Romaine character. First of all, she listens to that Seether song on loop for the entire movie.
Yeah.
But it's just all. But the other thing that she says that genuinely made my eyebrows raise was she says, "I've lived in 7 cities for the past 7 years." I'm like, what the fuck? What happened to you?
She's in the military, Charlie. She's in the military.
Is she? The movie
I
did
don't
not
know.
make that clear.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I figured.
Well, the other line is, and I've managed to meet the worst guys in every city, and I was just like, that's your character development?
Yeah,
that's your character
shallow.
development. So anytime she meets someone bad, she has to leave the city.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely good at keeping space. We gotta give her credit for that.
And I love Rebecca Romaine.
Yeah,
I think
I like her.
When her ex does show up, and which serves no purpose other than for Frank to hit him with a switchblade knife in the face, which is very funny, actually.
It's just like Barry.
What were you saying, Logan? Before
I think it's time. Like the gay stuff is really, really bad.
Oh, it's
awesome. Yeah, we'll get into
it's
that.
Classic.
Yeah.
Early 2000s.
Oh yeah. I know what I was gonna say. David, she listens to the Seether song, which is called "Broken." You know why? You know why? Because she's broken.
But also Frank's broken.
Kind of good.
When she's lonesome. Yeah, that's true.
They should play Elvis Presley's "Are You Lonesome Tonight" while Frank's alone. That's my opinion.
That would have been good. He doesn't listen to any music when he's drinking Wild Turkey. I wonder why.
Okay, I'm so glad you noticed that too, that he is drinking Wild Turkey, which tastes like shit. That stuff sucks.
Other product placement too was like when there's a scene where John Panette and Ben Foster are like looking at like Frank Castle's like resume on the computers, and they have Diet Pepsi prominently placed in the background. And then when they have their Thanksgiving dinner, Panette says like he's thankful for Diet Pepsi. I'm like, yeah,
we get it.
I want to do a
get
piece in the movie where I'm like, all right, Arby's, you're paying me some money. We're gonna film like a huge shootout at an Arby's, and everyone's gonna fucking die. And then it's gonna cut to a logo of the Arby's like site, and it's gonna be covered in blood, and that's gonna be your fucking product placement.
And then somebody drives by and they say the Simpsons joke, "I'm so hungry I could eat at Arby's." Yeah.
I'm like, oh, and you just go in and then you have someone come into the store and they're like, wow, some real carnage has happened here, but my Arby's burger will make me feel better. And then they walk out with a burger.
I think I've mentioned on this show that Arby's was my first job, right? Even though I live in Massachusetts. Okay.
No.
I worked at an Arby's in a fucking food court in a shopping mall in Massachusetts.
There is no Arby's there is no Arby's anywhere in the UK. I've never been to one. I just think it's funny to say.
It's not bad. I feel like it gets a bad rap, but it's not bad. We're gonna start it out with Frank Castle as blonde. We're gonna go into that. FBI bust.
He looks so good.
He's a good looking guy. He's wearing flip flops.
Oh, he's so
it's nice.
handsome.
An FBI bust of smuggling operation in Tampa Bay results in the death of Bobby Saint, the son of mafia boss Howard Saint, and Otto Cringe, arms dealer. However, Cringe's death was faked, and he is revealed to be an undercover FBI agent. Frank Castle on his last. Revealed to be sorry, Wikipedia doesn't know grammar.
It's like his last job before he retires. Yeah.
Yeah. Enraged at the death of his son, Saint orders his men to learn everything they can about Craig and acquires access by bribing corrupt federal law enforcement officers for his federal service history. He orders Castle killed at a family reunion, though Saint's wife Livia insists that Castle's family be killed as well, which that fucking line reading is god awful.
His family. His whole family.
She's wearing like the biggest hat and veil I've ever seen. It takes her like 30 minutes to undo it. Yeah. At the reunion, Saint's men, including Saint's best friend Quentin Glass and Bobby's identical twin John, kill Castle's entire family. Though Frank Castle Sr. takes down some of the attackers, John then shoots Castle, leaving him for dead. However, Castle survives and is nursed back to health by a local fisherman. There's a cool scene in that whole thing where Roy Scheider and Thomas Jane are fighting them off in that little house, and then a guy jumps over, and then like a propane tank is shown, and I was just like, this is some video game shit. I'm surprised it didn't have like a yellow line around it where it's like, shoot here.
You just hear the Uncharted theme play.
Yes, yeah.
With the X emoji, yeah, like just.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah. You got a button mash to stop your dad from getting fucking murdered by the mob. Press X to pay respects at his funeral.
With the police and FBI unwilling to pursue the killers due to Saint's power and influence, Castle moves into an abandoned apartment accompanied by 3 outcasts: Joan, Bumpo, and
Bumpo.
And Spacker Dave.
We've got the new Marx Brothers over here.
That's true. And
begins like is that just? I know this is terrible, but I'm like, did they just name him Bumpo because he's fat?
Like,
yeah,
that's like the majority of the jokes where it's just
that's horrible.
Everyone in the script is commenting on like saying, "Hey, what's up, fat man?" I'm like,
do you know what's a really funny? You know what's a really funny like mob thing is when you call the guy fat, but he's actually skinny.
That's always good.
Fat Joe.
Hey,
Fat Joe. Fat Joe weighs like 110 pounds.
Yeah. Well, he does now. Yeah.
I will bring some of my personal history into this. That actor who plays Bumpo, John Panette, stand-up comedian who passed away several years ago. I watched his stand-up comedy a lot when I was growing up. But that was kind of, weight-based humor was kind of like poking fun at himself like a lot of the time. So I guess that's, I don't know, maybe he brought that material into the movie. But
early Gabriel Iglesias.
This honestly, like,
probably better.
I'm sure. I'm pleasantly surprised that there are not worse insults in this movie. This has a feel energy of something. You wouldn't be surprised if there was some language that has not aged well.
Rebecca Romaine also says, and Bumpo, and well, you can guess which one is Bumpo. Like, oh Jesus!
With the help of information provided by Mikey Duca, who's that guy? He's the most like that guy ever. The one he does the popsicle trick with and all that.
Yeah. So I looked him up. I was wondering why he looks so familiar. He's Adrian Shelley's love interest in Waitress.
Oh wow! Dang. Shit!
Wow.
There's a deck in Waitress.
This just made me so sad that I've seen Waitress once and I've seen this movie.
You should watch Waitress again. And also,
it's a good movie.
I haven't seen it since it was in theaters. It's a good movie.
See the documentary about Adrian Shelley made by her husband.
Yeah.
It's one of the best docs I
need to watch
for sure. That thing killed me.
Yeah.
Like, it made me want to rewatch
but
everything I'd seen from her.
Yeah. But Mikey Duca shows up, which he has the brilliant line reading of, "You're supposed to be dead." Yeah.
Is that Watto?
Yes.
And again, this scene is like kind of another example of the movie pulling its punches with Frank Castle being a nasty character, because he says he's going to torture him with like a blowtorch to say like, it sears the nerve endings shut and everything. It starts to go into shock and you feel your skin melting and everything. It feels cold or whatever. But then like he's just like to trick this guy and everything, like sort of like as like psychological torture. I guess he pokes him with a popsicle stick and then like uses a blowtorch to roast meat or something like that. And it's just like,
yeah.
I mean, a truly
It's kind of cute.
I mean,
it's kind of cute.
I mean, I will say the guy's line read is like, "You are not a nice person." That's pretty funny, but like again, it's totally weird with the movie, and it also robs the movie of stakes too.
I don't really like him that much as a filmmaker anymore. I Dragged Across Concrete really put me off the guy, but I think S. Craig Zahler would understand what Punisher's about.
Well, he would at least make me feel something.
Like that dude would get the violence and make it grotesque.
Well,
so, like, that's something.
I also agree with you, Logan. I don't like Dragged Across Concrete that much either, but at least like I felt something throughout that movie, and even if it was anger or rage, it was like, okay, well, he's clearly. I think
that the best way to do Punisher is to not make it look like he's doing the right thing.
Logan, I also got it. Speaking of the popsicle scene, they brought this up. A dear friend of mine. I'm so sorry if they listen to the podcast, but I'm going to drag them a little bit. I was texting them and I was like, because I know they like this movie, and I'm like, this movie sucks. And he was just kind of like, no, it's a camp masterpiece. That whole popsicle scene is like homoerotic.
What?
And I'm like, no,
what the fuck are you talking about? That's ridiculous.
And I love this friend dearly, but I was like, I
think my beard just grew extra of contempt for that take. No, I don't understand. I mean, respect. If you can enjoy the movie, you can enjoy the movie, but it's so like, I don't know how you could think it's homoerotic. It's so actively resentful towards any.
I know
queerness.
Okay, Thomas Jane is shirtless the entire time, but it has that whole vibe.
Yeah, he looks great,
but it
like,
has that whole time of like, but this isn't gay, right? Like,
no, it's, you're supposed to want to be him. You don't want to fuck him. You're supposed to want to be him.
Yeah.
And like, he is one of the most handsome men ever.
Oh,
in
he's
my
gorgeous.
opinion.
Yeah,
he is stunning. He gets sexier with age. I love how he's so handsome in The Expanse, which is one of my favorite television shows.
Oh.
And he is gorgeous in my favorite movie of all time, Money Plane. It's a masterpiece where he gives one of the funniest ever line reads I've ever seen, where he just reacts to a monologue from Adam, aka Edge from WWE Copeland,
of course,
by going, and it killed me. It kills me every time. It makes me laugh. Like, he just does not give a fuck about it, and he's so cool. There's a bit in Money Plane where there's, like, an action sequence, and no one else in the whole movie knows what they're doing, but him, just, like, second nature, just immediately looks like a professional, just by clearly not trying, but he just knows what he's doing instinctively, and it adds, like, a real degree of like, respectability to the movie. He's so powerful. Money Plane has a consistent tone, unlike The Punisher, which is bullshit.
Castle studies the Saint family and learns their every move, during which he discovers Glass to be a closeted homosexual. He openly attacks Saint's business and sabotages his partnership with his Cuban partners. Saint discovers Castle is alive and sends assassins to kill him. The first, Harry Heck, I do like the scene, ambushes Castle on the bridge, but is killed when Castle fires a ballistic knife to his throat. That's also cool. The second, a Russian behemoth, nearly beats Castle to death in his own apartment, but Castle manages to kill him as well.
So yeah, this is another bad scene in the movie where like the stakes are kind of non-existent in the movie, because Logan, you were talking earlier about how like, Thomas Jane like convincingly performs like, maybe like having the pain of like being a human being and like being vulnerable and having vulnerabilities in a fight scene and everything, but the movie robs it of like this. I mean, I think Jane like performs it well, where he is like kind of surprised by like the Russians like strength and everything, but like the movie makes the fight scene not tense and anything by having like just this goofy ass opera music that like the wacky apartment characters are dancing to. Like Ben Foster's like skipping into the frame or whatever. We're cutting between that, and then like the fight is like syncing up with the opera music. So it's just like, well, I don't feel like there's any danger here. I just feel like I'm watching like a goofy fight scene, and it's not like the fact that you're making it funny is making it not seem as tense. It's just like, again, the movie fucking up the tone.
Not to mention, I don't care what form of reality this movie takes place. Well, I guess it wouldn't matter what form of reality, but like these are people with like real issues and like economical struggles and like domestic abuse horrors, and then like a hand grenade goes off in the room next to them, and they're like, you hear something? Huh? Like what? Like, I'm sorry.
Totally
Like,
hear it. Yeah, for sure.
you would totally hear it, and then they're just like,
Sometimes
anyway, back to the
you just
opera.
hear like
and
a
they're just
shotgun
like-
blast and then a slouch of a corpse falling down. You're just like, what's for dinner tonight, hun?
You're telling me Rebecca Romaine moved across 7 cities in the past 7 years and she wouldn't react to a hand
She's
grenade
dumb.
going
She
off?
doesn't know how to not. She doesn't know how to ghost people. You know, she just has to leave town.
It's true.
But yeah, it's so shitty that that Punisher ends up using with like Will Patton, he says like, I'm gonna leak these photos of you being gay if you don't do what I say. I'm like, he's like threatening to out.
I'm
this
gonna
guy.
out
Look,
this
look,
motherfucker.
I'm like, I don't like that this is like a main character I'm supposed to identify with, like who's
No.
homophobic. Like, would he be doing this if his whole family hadn't been murdered? He'd just be like expressing
What
bad-
really,
I don't know, they're in-
this is the one thing that they should not have taken from Man on Fire, because if they'd had any threats up the ass with a gay character, it
That's
could have
true.
happened.
That's true.
If they had
true.
seen Man on Fire before writing this movie, they 100% would have done that, I think.
I swear to God, Man on Fire came out like a week after this movie.
Man on
too.
Fire is one of my favorite ever movies, and I wish it
Yeah,
had
it
come
was.
out like a year before,
It's
so they could
great.
have learned something from it.
Yeah.
They would have learned the bad things.
They would have
from it,
they would have learned how to let's shove a bomb up a gay guy's ass because you'll maybe enjoy it, and then they'll be really obnoxious.
I'm just
about
gonna
that.
assume, Bryden, if you asked anyone who made this movie, they'd be like, "Well, it was Florida in 2004, of course." Like,
God.
Also,
Yeah.
Charlie, you were right. Man on Fire comes out April 23rd, which is a week after this movie's release.
Holy
You did it,
shit.
You did it, Charlie. We're all proud
Wow. Tony Scott was inspired
so many
by
things
this. Yeah.
I didn't remember from middle school, but somehow that stuck in the noggin.
The tenants treat Castle's wounds and hide him in a hidden elevator as Saint's men arrive for him. When Dave and Bumpo refuse to reveal Castle's hideout, Glass tortures Dave by plucking each of his piercings with pliers. They leave one of their men to intercept Castle, but Castle kills him after they leave. With Mickey's help, Castle poses as an anonymous blackmailer and arranges for Glass to be at certain places while planting Livia's car in the same location and ultimately placing one of Livia's earrings in Glass's bed. When Saint finds the earrings, he stabs Glass to death despite her protests that Glass was dead, accuses Livia of having an affair with his best friend. He throws Livia over the overpass of a railroad truck where she is run over by a train.
Totally misguided scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I fell asleep for a sec. Is the movie over yet? Like,
No, yeah, we got 2 more.
Bro, I'm falling asleep here too.
I'm coming.
I just very totally misguided, and like the torture is really
awful.
badly done.
Oh,
too.
there's no sense of like play. Not like I want.
It seems like it's enjoying it too much.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to. Like it's not happening to someone that deserves it or like ostensibly deserves it. It's happening to someone you're supposed to care about.
Weirdly, the sadism exists in that scene and no other scene.
Oh, it's so like there's great torture scenes in movies, and this is like not one of them.
Are you talking about the piercing torture scene?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say Patton is good in this scene. I mean, he's a good actor, but like I
Yes.
love like when he's like you see him like come up with the idea for like the torture where he's like rubbing his lips and then like you sort of see like the look come across his face. It's like, oh, this is what I'll do. That's like a good acting beat, but the context is like, oh, this fucking sucks. But, yeah. I had one other joke that I wrote down when I was because I eventually like lost interest in the movie and I was like just writing jokes to myself. Is like when Travolta says to his wife, like when he thinks that she's cheating on him, he says like, you said you were at the movies, but then like you were at this location, this time later. Must have been a short movie. I would have loved it if she'd been like really specific. So I'm like, yeah, it was a tight 90 or something.
Yeah. It was a series of short films cut together, and I laughed halfway through.
Yeah, I forget. It said like some film festival or something on the marquee, and I was like, that doesn't exist. Okay.
I also love that the Punisher has a portable fire hydrant just in case.
Yeah, that's fucking cool. I don't know where he got it, but it's pretty cool. With Saint despondent, Castle assaults Saint's club and kills every member of the mob, including his remaining son, John. Saint escapes the building, albeit wounded. Castle pursues him and shoots him in a duel. As Saint lies dying, Castle reveals his schemes that led Saint to kill his friend and his wife. He ties Saint to a car and sends it into the club's parking lot, which is riddled with explosive, prompting a set of explosions to kill Saint, and which form the shape of a skull when viewed from the air. Hell yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Could have
Castle
worked in a different tone.
Well, they did that a lot. I mean, remember when Daredevil did the same thing where they did
Daredevil's
the double
bad.
Ds?
That was with
overall.
Joey
The
Pants.
Crow does that as well, I think.
Yeah.
The Crow, even the Dark Knight poster, it never happened in the movie, but remember when that was a huge thing in the 2000s where they were just our symbol in fire? Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I didn't really love the climax of the movie, although I do love the bit when Ace sends up the champagne bomb and the guy's like, "Oh," he says like,
Yeah.
"Oh, he's killed mid
Yeah.
sentence."
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty funny. But
Yeah. Castle returns home and has no will to live after his mission is fulfilled, but changes his mind after seeing a vision of his wife, instead deciding to continue to fight crime.
Bullshit.
Also, that scene is hideous, by the way. That flashback whatever bullshit.
Yeah, it's like barely it's like her looking kind of angry, just like
She looks
turning
way
around and
too
being
much.
like,
She turns away from
I
him.
would-
Yeah.
Yeah.
"What?"
I think I would be able to be more civil and like nuanced about this if I wasn't so tired. But because like all I can think of is God, I wish this movie was never made. God, I wish this movie was never made. And it's like it's not even that bad. You know, there's far worse movies out there. I've seen hundreds and hundreds of worse films. But it's just so like it's frustrating because there's like glimpses of a decent movie here and they're buried under walls and walls of shit.
Because it's so easy to make this movie.
It would not. I
basically-
honestly think like if we all four of us came together, we could write a real screenplay for this movie and do a fine job with it.
You know what? Let's do that. We're gonna call it The Punisher: Saints and Sinners, because that's what Howard Saints.
No, it's Punisher All Saints Day. Come on, get in your head in the game.
All Saints, no sinners. Yeah. Where was I?
We're gonna call it the Dunebach Saints.
Oh, there it
Punisher
is.
Castlevania. I don't know.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Frank Castle Symphony of the Night.
There we go. Yes. He leaves some of Saint's money as a farewell gift to the tenants for protecting him. He is then seen standing alone on a bridge at sunset, where in voiceover he vows to kill all killers, rapists, psychopaths, sadists, and anyone who harms innocent people in any way in his new identity. The Punisher. Bryden, you are a madman. Harold and Kumar go to Frank Castle. You son of a bitch.
Also, is that not the most like stagnant like final shot where he's just standing there like who is he there for? Like, I know movies are movies and that obviously shots exist and there if it's good it's like I don't give a shit, but he's just like standing on that bridge who are you?
This they have nothing in common, but this movie reminds me of the Jamie Foxx movie Sleepless from a few years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mostly because I feel like they're equally as fake as each other.
Yeah.
I don't really have they have like potential like glimpses of greatness and like interesting aesthetic choices in theory, but they're sluggish and slow in execution, and they end up being quite boring and uninspired by their ending, despite the fact that they have solid lead performances. and
Yeah.
a good hook.
That's definitely a movie. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, that was it.
Yeah, it's definitely a movie where you're kind of like left just thinking like, I guess I like that performance beat, and I guess that one shot was kind of cool.
Like I don't hate. I sound like I hate it. I don't really hate it. Like it's not the worst
It's
thing
not good.
ever, but it's
It's
not
not good,
good,
though.
and it's frustrating. And like a movie that's close to being good, or not close, but like potentially good, could be like even more frustrating than something that just fucking sucks straight up. Because like you can
Yeah.
imagine, I don't know how they haven't made a good Punisher movie, even just by accident at this point. Like maybe the show's
Yeah.
great. I haven't seen the show, but like for movies, it's crazy they haven't like accidentally made like a really solid like Dread style Punisher movie. You know,
Yeah, they got a Dread movie better than they got a Punisher movie,
Which is crazy.
saying something.
you know,
Yeah.
because Dread is a way worse character.
I haven't seen the Mark Goldblatt Dolph Lundgren one, the Dolph Lundgren Punisher. I know some people kind of like that one now.
I've seen
but,
clips. I wasn't impressed, but again, I'll need to see the full thing.
I would rather watch this than Dread. But anyways,
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, we're not gonna get into that one.
yeah, no. Final thoughts on the Punisher, man.
Let's go to bed, everyone.
Okay. Yeah.
Even if you've woken up and this is your podcast you're listening to driving to work, just go turn your car around.
Go back to
No,
bed.
no,
Yeah,
look,
yeah.
fall asleep at the wheel and risk crashing
No, the Punisher will
just to
help.
feel the experience.
Cue up Broken
Yeah.
by Seether and just like, go to sleep.
Oh man. And then
I
get
think-
on top of the car and
I think-
sing like Amy Lee in the music video. Yeah.
I think this is a movie that needed a D'Angelo needle drop for no reason.
No. Oh God, no.
Just imagine like Frank Castle like chilling with a sniper rifle, and then like fucking Untitled. How does it feel? Starts playing.
I don't like that. Don't like that image. Don't like that. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Almost Major. Please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. Please follow the pod on Twitter at Almost Major to keep up to date with what movies we will be covering in the future. Myself, I can be found on Twitter and Letterboxd at Kev Bonesy. Bryden can be found on Twitter at Bryden Doyle and on Letterboxd at J Doyle. Charlie can be found on Twitter and Letterboxd at CT Nash91. Once again, thank you for listening.